Hi guys, this is Dormouse03, and this is The Evil Within, Akumu mode, Chapter 5. We are just past the fight where we were fighting a bunch of waves of enemies with Joseph, and now I'm gonna run through and pick up a bunch of stuff before we leave this area. And so one really important piece of loot, piece of stuff, collectible, is this statue right here. So that's going to be our next key for this chapter. And then I've sped up the rest of this, going around and collecting things. There's not a whole lot. I think those bullets are the only other thing in these cells. Although I open every door and look in them, I believe that there's only the statue and then the handgun bullets. But, then I'm just gonna run around. There are a bunch of rooms in this area and a bunch of, like, boxes and things and just stuff littered about this room. So, again, you don't worry about using your ammunition in this part because you're going to make it back, especially the shotgun bullets and the handgun bullets. You're definitely going to get those things back and matches when you pick stuff up. There's also the shock bolt there, which is good. That makes up for the one that I used before. And in pretty much every room there's something, like at least some upgrade gel or something. And you kind of know where these rooms are because they're where the enemies spawned. The enemies came out of these rooms. And so now that the enemies are dead, you get to go and take their stuff, which is excellent. That's pretty much the only, that's the real ammo heavy fight for this chapter. And if you can pick up a hatchet and carry it down here with you, that's going to help because that will be a one-hit kill on one of the enemies here. And there are going to be two enemies in this little hallway here, and it'll be much easier to deal with them because it is kind of a shortened and very narrow space. So there's not going to be much running around. I was trying to get as close to them as possible before they saw me, but whatever. And the match did not light. So that's an instance of a failed match. But that one worked. So that can be, I'm telling you, like that part right there wasn't too frustrating because I mean it was just the one enemy. He didn't kill me. It wasn't that bad, but I ended up wasting a couple more handgun bullets than I should have because that first match should have killed. I should have been able to drop the match that first time because he was on the ground, but it wouldn't let me do it. And those are the times, especially if it was a section where things were a little bit more hectic than that, those are the times when you really notice things that are inconsistent and don't work as well as they should. And the match mechanics are one really huge thing that just, it needed a little bit more polish. Like, it's a great idea. They generally work pretty well, but they just are not as consistent as they should be. And it stands out, and it gets a little bit irritating sometimes. Especially when you are, really trying to conserve your ammo. Like, a wasted match is a pretty big deal. And getting smacked in the face because the match didn't work is an even bigger deal. So if you run right here, you can burn these two bodies that fall down. And for whatever reason, he drops his torch when you burn them sometimes. But picking up that torch, and I carried it along to use on the big guy, and was actually able to get. I got 2 for the price of 1 on that, which is really great. But now there's just this one guy left. So usually, if you can burn those 2 guys running in, burn the big guy with the torch, then you'll only have 2 sort of regular dudes to contend with, and you do have Joseph and Kidman shooting at them. So if you can do that the way that I did it, even if you don't get the second smaller guy with that torch, you should be set up pretty good for that room, which can get very... It's a small room, so it can go pretty nastily pretty quickly if you let those 2 guys who drop in get into the room with you, because then you've got like 5 guys all in this one tiny little room, and there's stuff that you can get tripped up on, and you have Joseph and Kidman to worry about. Well, Kidman not really, but Joseph will get hurt if you're not careful. So I don't know what I'm doing right now, why I'm running back there. I guess I wanted to see if those 2 guys dropped anything, but they did not. But this guy did, so we'll collect that and continue along our merry little way into the final sections here. So we have a boss fight coming up that is actually pretty cool. I mean, she killed me probably 10 times, and it took me about 10 minutes to 10 minutes of failing, so there were sometimes failures right near the beginning of it, but it was about 10 minutes of footage that got cut. So that was how much time it took me to get the boss pattern down. And then the last section actually took me much longer to do. It took about 15 minutes, and it's way shorter. So there was a lot more failure on the ending part, and I wasn't really concerned with it. I didn't think that I would have a problem with just those 3 guys in the room where they're hooked up to the machine and you have to unhook them, but they get up so fast, and it's inconsistency, because sometimes they will take ages to stand up, and you feel like you have all the time in the world, and then other times they'll just pop right back up when you knock them over, and it's just one of those little inconsistencies that becomes frustrating, because you'll sit there doing it over and over thinking that they should stay on the ground a certain amount of time and that you have that time to be able to deal with things, but sometimes you just don't, and you end up getting screwed. So, coming in here, I don't know why exactly. I think I like to count the tiles on the map. Sometimes I don't trust myself that I've actually picked them all up, and I go in there and do a little count of them to make sure that I've got them all and don't need to like restart the chapter or something crazy like that. So, don't have too much upgrade gel right here, but I'm gonna put it into sprint to get that up a little bit, because I know that during this last section that's going to be useful, because you're going to be running away from Laura, and she is pretty fast, and the range on that grab attack that she has is ridiculous. Like, it's like her fingernails are so long, she just grabs you with her fingernails or something. It's It's kind of funny. But there are a couple more enemies that we have to get through before we can get to Laura, and we shouldn't underestimate anybody on this difficulty because anything is capable of killing you. So once you get out of the nice little save room, there's a trap here that I think if you trip this trap, there are some spikes that come up on the other end. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to just kill them. But you can use that trap if you want to. But I would suggest not doing that because the trap parts are very, very important. And if you're following my strategies for Chapter 6, they are extremely important to be able to have as many trap parts as you can. So I was able to use the match to burn that one guy and in the body that was already laid on the floor. And we use our second match on the other lady. Be careful of that. Don't rush into that room or you will get smooshed. And be careful of this wire here. The wire, it's an electrical wire that's sort of hanging there and sort of floating. It can damage you. I've gotten damaged by it before. I find that if you try to just hug the corner on the right, that it usually won't get you. But again, it can be a little random. So just be careful of that because that can kill you. So always try to hug that corner when you're running by would be my advice. And then wait and she will get hurt in the fire, and then you just have to wait for the fire to go away. And again, be very careful going around the corner because those wires are sparking out of control there. So just hugging the corner will usually get you past it. And then when you open this door, a crow's going to come out, immediately hit your Y button to melee. And you won't have to worry about shooting the crow out of the air. Because if you let him get out, then he'll just be flying around the room, and then you have to shoot the statue off of his back with your pistol or some weapon, and you'll waste some ammo, and you'll probably not be able to get it in one shot, etc. So there's my stick drift, which is great. And so then you want to immediately match this one body here, and I'm just going to take a path around this room, systematically using all of the things at my disposal. So you wait for her to actually emerge or start emerging from the bodies, and then you match them. I immediately hit this. I think she hadn't quite spawned in yet, so I don't think that got her, but it might have. Pick up this torch, and then I missed her on the body there, but I was able to get her with the torch, and now I'm going to sit here and wait. And try not to use your match too early. For whatever reason, I think that one didn't get her. Like, I don't know why, but it didn't. So I jumped down there. She is always right on your butt, so don't wait. just pull the lever. And then again, wait for her to start appearing, hit the match, she gets burned, move on to the next body. Wait for her to start appearing, hit the match, and she gets burned. And then, I'm not sure where, I guess she comes out of the middle when she runs out of bodies. And then that was the final hit on her. So it seems like it's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 bodies burned on her at least one of the furnaces and 2 torches was the damage that she ended up taking. If you mess up on a couple of the things, it's not a huge deal, but if you use all the traps, and I believe the furnaces reset, so you can always lure her back into those again, I think. At least if you don't get her with one of them, I think you're able to use it again. So just be aware of that, because bullets and stuff don't really damage her all that much. So, but you do have a little bit of leeway there. Like if you mess up a couple of the matches on the bodies, or mess up one of the furnaces, you do have enough stuff there to be able to have a couple of mistakes on that fight. And it probably will take a couple tries, because pretty much everything takes a couple tries, just because, like I said, the range that she has on that grab, it's unbelievable. So, you just have to kind of get used to the timing of everything. But once you do, that fight is not too terrible. This fight right here infuriated me. Because it felt like I should be able to do something that you can't really do. It felt like you should be able to knock one of them down and then pull the thing out, and then knock another one down, and then pull his little cord out of his neck, and then knock the third one down. But you do not have time to do that. So, because by the time you pull the thing out of one of them, another one is already on you and on its way to hitting you by the time you get out of that animation, and there's nothing you can do. And most of the time, that's how it will go. Believe me, I sat there for way far, far too long trying to get it to work. So, what I'm going to do is kind of run around and get these guys grouped together. And again, this might take a couple of tries to get it lined up, but you can generally take all 3 of these guys down with 1 or 2 shotgun blasts, and then you start pulling the cords out. And now I tried to go get this one at the back because I knew he fell down first, but what I should have done was pull the cord out of the one that was closer to me, because they got up too quickly. But then after the one was taken care of, you kneecap the both of them and pull out the cords. And that looked pretty easy, but I don't know. It was just some sort of mental hang-up that was telling me that I should be able to only knock down 1 or 2 of them, and the third one wouldn't have time to get to me, which was just idiocy, because obviously they're going to get to you because they move far too fast. And sometimes they get up a lot faster than they got up that first time when I knocked them down with the shotgun. So just be persistent, as with everything, and you will get through Chapter 5. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope it's helping, and I will see you in Chapter 6.